So I would modify my motion to include, I move to propose a modification to the original agreement, providing for an extension of time through June 30th, 2012, and grant a one-year extension until June 30th, 2011 for the purchase as presented. Okay, and then...
That's your
and then-
motion?
Yes, and then if they execute the agreement, it's a done deal.
She
I'll
didn't get it.
second that.
Greg, did you get it?
I did.
I'll second that.
Greg got it.
What did I say,
So I
Greg?
have a motion by Mr. O'Leary, seconded by Mr. Delaney. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Unanimous.
Extend the agreement to
Yeah,
2/3.
extend- Is provide an addendum to the original agreement, providing for extensions through June 30th, 2012, and grant a one-year extension until June 30th, 2011, and then the rest of it is
Good catch, Sean.
pre-printed here.
I believe our veterans agent has arrived,
See me if you have any questions, Allison.
so. Ms. Magna.
Good evening, gentlemen. Sorry, I had another meeting.
That's all right,
That's all right.
we're later than you, so.
I had put in a request for a Veterans Committee. I realize we already have a Veterans Memorial Committee on hand, but the charge for that committee is actually to establish 3 suitable veteran memorials for World War II, Korean, and Vietnam conflicts in honor of the veterans of that war and those conflicts. That is their sole purpose. The gentlemen are at a point where they have a lot of family obligations, that they are unable to commit to a monthly meeting, which is what I'm aiming at. The Veterans Committee that I'm wishing to establish is, the mission would be the mission of the Veterans Committee is to establish, commit, assist, guide, and execute events, activities for the purposes of recognition of the veterans, troops, and their families, thus enlightening the populace of the courage, commitment, and sacrifices our veterans, troops, and families gave and continue to give today. I want to be able to put on events on a regular basis for these people, and acknowledge them, allow them to have the accolades that they so deserve, and involve the community as well. And it does take a lot of time, effort, and energy to do these things, so, and a lot of commitment, and it does require activity and meetings on a regular monthly basis, so I am asking to formulate a committee, straight out Veterans Committee.
Veterans Committee or Veterans Affairs Committee, matter?
Excuse me?
Does it matter, Veterans Committee or Veterans Affairs Committee, doesn't matter?
No, no.
Is this,
That would be more,
Mr. Pelicanis, would this be a committee appointed by the town administrator?
No, it should be a committee that's set by the board.
Set by the board, okay.
Just like FAC would be.
what's that?
And,
It would be like just how you guys created the FAC or any other committee.
I'm envisioning that it will become a permanent committee versus a town administrator committee, which is typically for a short duration. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Although you
Correct.
appoint a lot of standing committees.
By the bylaw or the charter I appoint, yeah.
I have no problem.
nor do I, I think
just
it's a
hope
great idea.
we have enough people. Do you have interest?
I have three already that are willing to come on. Actually, 3 have already come on as associates with the Veterans Memorial Committee, which doesn't make them, giving them voting rights. And they want, I mean, they're showing up to the meetings monthly. They want to be involved and be able to do more. Like I said, I'm not able, with the Veterans Memorial Committee, every time I pull a monthly meeting.
How many do
I'm
we
not
have,
able to-
how many on the Veterans Memorial Committee now?
There's 10 on there right now, and that's pretty high to get a quorum. So, I'm looking, I mean, I don't really want, to be honest with you, that high of amount. I would rather have probably establish maybe 5 and then maybe add on associates.
That committee really only focuses on
Right.
the veterans Veterans Day parade.
Veterans Day and the memorials
Memorial.
themselves.
So that's why they don't really wanna meet.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why they're suggesting, let's establish this, so we can focus on things that are outside of their scope.
And I can assure you,
That
this
are really
is
important
definitely not
things.
taking from them, which
No,
you can,
absolutely
yeah.
not. They
They're
fully
all for
support it.
this.
They do fully
Yeah,
support
that
it.
was
They're
my
definitely
next
in
question.
support of this.
Oh, no, they're on board. They're the ones that encourage this.
Yeah, this came about with one of the meetings, so they just don't have the energy, as they put it, they don't have the energy to put it in a monthly on a monthly basis, so.
Any of those guys are not worrying, so.
Sounds like a good idea. I'm all in favor of it.
Yeah. And I think anything that we could do for our veterans that shows that we appreciate.
Oh, that's
What
good,
they
then
do.
I'll collect your $17.
There you go.
Oh, you're selling tickets too?
May as well
Yes,
take an
I received the
opportunity.
letter.
Yes, gentlemen, we are having a social.
No, I've seen the notice. Mike
For the
is
people at home,
keeping us well informed here.
people at home.
Mr. Chairman, I'd suggest it be a five-person,
I would recommend, yes. only
five-person
because-
committee, and then as many associate members as the board deems appropriate.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I would call it, if you don't mind, the Veterans Affairs Committee rather than just a Veterans Committee.
It's more, I think it's more of a generalized term that kind of can be encompassed and used in different areas for anything, from most
Veterans-
part, yeah.
what, Veterans Affairs?
Veterans Committee itself, yeah.
Oh, well, I was thinking the other way. I think Veterans Affairs just encompasses everything that would have anything to do with the veterans that you find
Well,
necessary.
because you can expand too, if somebody wanted to do, scholarship ideas for the children and things like that
Okay.
too, which is, these are all different ideas that can come about with this,
But I actually like Steve's idea, to be honest with you, because I think it does distinguish this committee separate from what you do, because you're Veteran Services.
Mhm.
And when you hear Veterans Committee, they just may get that just so close that they could kind of mingle them together, where you add in that affairs, I think it does
It can
distinguish
expand. That's
what that
fine.
group is.
Yeah.
So, any of the board members have an input on it, but I support it.
So we make it
Do I hear a motion?
Make it five, and then any number of associate members as the board deems necessary.
Mr. Chairman, I move to establish a Veterans Affairs Committee of 5 members for the purpose of coordinating and executing activities and events to benefit veterans, troops, and their families.
I would include associate members though, too. So,
Uh,
a committee of 5 members,
And an
And-
unlimited number of...
and any number of associate members as deemed appropriate by the board for the purpose of coordinating and executing.
Well, then do we have to,
So if we have 10 people that want to be on there, the associate members, we can name the 5, and you have
so it's still on,
3, 7, so we're not limited to just 3 associates or 5
I
associates.
understand that, but, so then you're really saying it's unlimited, but if at some point we think 10 is enough, then it's enough. Is that what you're saying?
So I have, you want me to read it again?
Please,
Nelson?
you got it?
Okay,
Okay, on the motion, further discussion?
Well, who,
I'll
I'm-
second that, sure.
you seconded,
Yeah.
okay? Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
One more?
And Michael's made the
Taking care of
announcement on the
business tonight.
social, and
Yeah, which is October 24th at the Hillview Country Club from 2 to 6 p.m.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good night.
I am also,
good night. Good night.
I'm also requesting the Veterans Department to establish a gift account. I am getting people that want to put in donations, and I would like to be able to, the mission statement would read, "The Veterans Department gift account will serve to assist with funding of all current and future events, projects, activities, and any incidentals the Veterans Department would deem beneficial to establish, assist, guide, and commemorate those who have served and continue to do so." There are situations where, this would be with the understanding after any state funding is exhausted, but there are situations where people do tend to come into areas where they may need a walker, that we've exhausted all our avenues out throughout the internet to try and get a walker for somebody. Somebody might need, you may want to go to a fun, one of these socials, their funds are just so low, they can't do it. We'd like to be able to do something like that and be able to afford them to go to things. And to be able to, for any help with the advertisements, the signage that I'm proposing, as well. I'm working on that right now for the town. So it's for the upkeep of that and for any other future endeavors that we're looking at to better the veterans in the community.
The, Greg, gift account versus revolving fund?
Gift account doesn't need a vote of town meeting.
No, I understand.
What it needs is your approval, and you also approve the expenditure side too. So when
Okay, so
Susan
that's the
has-
difference.
When
Okay.
Susan has a request that she needs to seek funding for, we need to get permission of the board to be able to
So
do
at
that.
the closing of a fiscal year, does the money roll over?
The money survives.
The money survives?
Correct, and the money is retained within the town's books. The bottom line, it has to work its way through the town's warrant process.
Mr. Prisco?
Mr. Chairman, I move to establish a Veterans Department gift account for the purpose of assisting with funding of events, projects, activities, and incidentals for veteran services.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Prisco, seconded by Mr. O'Leary. Further discussion?
My only issue is I'd like to have, I see the chair and vice chair of the FinCom here. Do they have any issue with this gift account?
I don't think we have an issue with the gift account. I think we would have an issue with another revolving account.
Okay,
No, that's why I brought the subject up.
thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Susan, thank you for your efforts, and I thought it was a
Thank
terrific
you.
letter to the editor that you wrote last week.
Excuse me?
Your letter to the editor, I thought was
Mhm.
terrific that you
Thank
wrote
you.
last week.
Okay, October town meeting articles.
gentlemen.
Mr. Beliconis.
Would you like me to start with the capital improvement plan? Because I would think that that would be critical in terms of you putting your warrant article recommendations together.
Sure.
So that would be,
This paper, it's in here.
where do you think we came? What they've done is put together some information, just some background information on the capital improvement plan. Before I start, I just wanted to mention that the capital improvement plan that's being proposed recognizes the fact that we're providing most of our funding through free cash this year. It's a little bit of a difference from a year ago, where the majority of the capital improvement plan was funded through the issuance of debt. And the first page, that as you go into here, you'll see what the town's non-exempt debt schedule is. This represents our principal and interest payments going forward. One of the issues that was encountered in our bond rating review through Moody's is that although the town has a favorable debt position, to the extent we can provide funding for capital items out of pocket, it's always looked upon favorably. You'll note that we do have substantial debt that's shown here. We also have debt related to the high school feasibility study in the amount of $1 million, which at this time is non-exempt. So it's hoped that if that project does go forward, that can be converted to exempt debt. But in the event it's not, it will be added to this schedule going forward.
The debt that we approved this evening,
Is added on top of this.
it's it's on top of these numbers?
That is correct.
Okay.
The next page, and I apologize for the size of the type, I'm required to show you 5 years of capital improvements going out. And what this is an effort to really summarize what the 5-year capital improvement needs of the town is. And interestingly enough, it really doesn't change too much over a period of time. Projects have a tendency to start low on the priority list, and they stay on the plan, and they kind of move their way up the priority list. But if you look at the first column on the left, which is fiscal year 2000.